හරි. Enterprise Application Development 2021 semester 4 subject එක MCQ paper එක පොඩ්ඩක් discuss කරන්න කියලා බැලුවේ. right මේකේ instructions තියලා තියෙනවා. අපි question and answers ටික බලමු කොහොමද මොනවද අහලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. right පළවෙනි එක first one is which of the following statements is accurate regarding component based development. component based development කියන එක කතා කරලා තියෙනවා. මම ඒකත් එක්කම පොඩි presentation එකක් දාගත්තා ඔයගොල්ලෝ පොඩ්ඩක් ඉස්සර කරන්න. component based development කියන්නේ component based development is a software development approach that emphasizes the construction of software system by assembling pre-existing reusable software components. It involves breaking down the system into smaller, self-contained components that can be independently developed, tested, and deployed. These components can range from simple libraries or modules to more complex software units that encapsulate specific functionality. අපි කතා කරා component based development කියන එක ගැන කලින් කතා කරලා ඒකේ පොඩි briefing එකක් මම මේත් එක්කම කරගෙන යනවා. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මොනවා හරි refresh කරගන්න පුළුවන්. The key idea behind the component based development is to promote reusability and modularity in software development. By using pre-built components, developers can save time and effort by leveraging existing solutions rather than building everything from scratch. Components are designed to be independent and have well-defined interfaces, allowing them to be easily integrated into the different systems or replaced with alternative implementation needed. Component-based development කියන්නේ අපි break down කරගෙන නැත්නම් අපි smaller පොඩි කොටස් වලට මේක කරගෙන components විදිහට develop කරන එක. ඒකට මේ component එක reuse කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේ අපිට හැම දෙයකටම පහසු වෙනවා. module එකක් විදිහට. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක it depends on the solution and the application එකත් එක්ක. right. අපි ප්‍රශ්නෙට යමු. Which of the following statements are accurate regarding component-based development? Okay, component can be commercial, off the shelf, or software. Component are architectural method or separating concerns. Okay. Component-based development is generally considered a costly software construction method. Amen. The content-based development, CBD, is done with the middleware infrastructure. Spaghetti code is a byproduct of CBD නැත්නම් component-based development. එතකොට මෙතන අහන්නේ accurate regarding following statements are accurate regarding component-based development. Component can be commercial off the shelf. Can be. Component එක off the shelf වෙන්න පුළුවන්. commercial වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Components are architectural method of separating concerns. Components are an architectural method. So, component-based development can make architectural method yeah, separating. So, then component-based development is generally considered a costly software construction method. Costly software construction method එකක් කියලා එහෙම consider කරන්නේ නැහැ. Then content based development is done with the middleware infrastructure. එහෙම වෙන්න පුළුවන් done with the middleware එකක් විදිහට අපිට middleware infrastructure එකක content based development use කරන්න පුළුවන්. Spaghetti code is a byproduct of EAD. Is the wrong correct answer when just a highlighter. Correct answer. Correct answer. And done with the middleware infrastructure. Right. අපි content based development කියන එක තව පොඩ්ඩක් බලුවොත් content based development offers several benefits including increased productivity, faster development cycles, improved maintainability, and the ability to adapt and evolve systems more efficiently. Equipment in the whole system develop කරගන්න පුළුවන් CBD use කරනවා. It promotes code reuses. Code reuse කරන්න පුළුවන් which reduces duplication and improves consistency across projects. අපිට එකම library එකම class එකක් එකම module එකක් අපිට එක purpose එකකට component එකක් විදිහට develop කරගත්තාම මේක අපිට use කරන්න පුළුවන් ගොඩක් projects වල. Additionally, content based development enables teams to work in parallel on different components, facilitating, collaborating, and speeding up the development process. So collaborate කරන්න ලේසි. To implement content-based development, developers typically rely on component frameworks or middleware that provide a set of tools, services, and standards for component integration. These frameworks handle tasks such as component communication, lifecycle management, and dependency resolution. Example of content-based development framework include Java Beans, Microsoft Components Object Models, and the Java Platform Enterprise Edition, Java EE, and so on. Overall, component-based development is an approach that fosters software reusability, modular design, and efficient development by leveraging pre-existing software components to build complex systems. Content-based development කියන එක ගැන තව පොඩ්ඩක් විස්තර තමයි කතා කරේ. එතකොටම මේක break down කරගෙන අපිට මේ components විදිහට වෙනවා ඒක තමයි අපිට ඒකේ වාසි තියෙන reuse කරන්න හැමතැනටම use කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. ඒත් එක්කම ඒක ඇත්තටම ලොකු advantage එකක් software reusability එක ගත්තහම. Right, අපි ඊළඟ question එකට යමු. Second one. Which of the following statements are inaccurate? This is called inaccurate. Inaccurate regarding good class. Okay. Which of the following is good class? They create a tight coupling between the software component. They create a tight coupling between the software component. Coupling වැඩි නම් component එක අපි හොඳයි කියලා කියන්නේ අපි කියන්නේ highly cohesive, loosely coupled වෙන්න ඕන කියන එකයි. They make it difficult to maintain the software. they make it difficult to maintain the software. එතකොට එහෙම එකක් they make it එහෙම වෙන්න පුළුවන් make it difficult to maintain software. Right. They are result of adhering to separation of concerns. The results of adhering to separation of concerns කියන එක ගැන එහෙම කියන්න බෑ අපිට. So they are object that know too much. They are object that know too much. එහෙම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. They are object that do too much. Anyway, accurate regarding good classes කියපුවහම ඒක උත්තරේ C. They are result of adhering separations of concerns. Inaccurate face එක නැත්නම් statement එක. third question එක වෙනකොට ඒකේ තියෙනවා getting the data invocations from one point in the software to another is called. What is it? Okay. Okay. Getting data and invocation from one point in another point, actually the point in the software to another is called an aspect, business logic, cross-cutting concern, plumbing, remote method, invocation. Getting data and invocation from one point in the software to another is commonly referred as plumbing. The plumbing කියලා තමයි අපි මේතනදී use කරන word එක. This මේක ඇත්තටම use කරන්නේ මේ infrastructure එක සහ මේ mechanism එක facilitate කරනවා communication අපිට communicate කරන්න data transfer කරන්න communicate කරන්න different components නැත්නම් different modules අපේ system එක ඇතුලේ. නැත්නම් software system එක ඇතුලේ. ඒක ඇතුලේ low level details and can how data is processed. මේ data ටික කොහොමද process how pass වෙලා තියෙන්නේ නැත්නම් මේ data කොහොමද pass වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මොනවද methods invoke කරලා තියෙන්නේ and ඒත් එක්කම තව communication එක කොහොමද establish වෙන්නේ කියන එක. ඒකට ඒ correct answer එක plumbing කියන එක. ඔයාලගේ answer sheet එකෙත් මේ විදිහටම තියෙනවා. Then which of the following statements are accurate regarding enterprise Java beans? Right. RMI ගැනත් මීට කලින්ම පොඩ්ඩක් slide එකට දාපු ඉන්න මම පොඩ්ඩක් කියන්නම්. Then remote method invocation RMI is a communication mechanism is distributed system that enables object residing on different Java virtual machines to interact with each other by invoking methods remotely. It's a Java specific technology that allows Java object to be accessed and manipulated across a network. What RMI කියන්නේ Java specific method එකක් technology එකක්. Different JVMs ඇතුලේ තියෙන methods අපිට call කරගන්න නැත්නම් invoke කරගන්න තියෙන page එක. RMI provides a way for a client-side object to call methods on server-side object as if it were a local method invocation. This remote invocation is transparent to the client, abstracting the complexities of network communication and enabling the client to interact with remote objects seamlessly. RMI වල overview එකක් පොඩක් brief කරොත් interface definition අපි කතා කරලා තියෙන practical මෙතනදී මම පැහැදිලි කරන්න පොඩි briefing එකක් කරගෙන යන්නේ. Developers define a remote interface that specifies the method that can be invoked remotely. The remote interface is implemented by the server-side object, and the client-side object obtains a reference to the remote interface. Object registration. First take interface definition. Object registration. The server-side object is registered with the RMI registry. RMI registry which act as a centralized lookup service. Okay? So centralized lookup service act, this registry maps a unique name or identifier to the server-side object. Stub and skeleton. When the server-side object is registered, the RMI system generates a stub and skeleton. The stub on the client side act as a proxy for the server-side object. Intercepting method invocation and forwarding them to the server. The skeleton on the server side receives the method invocation from the client stub and invokes the corresponding method on the server object. හරියටම method එක දෙකයි. Marshalling and non-marshalling. Marshalling and non-marshalling can serialize කරලාද තියෙන්නේ නැද්ද කියලා. Before method invocation can be transmitted over the network. The object and their parameters involved in the method call are serialized. Or serialized method එකට Marshall කියලා කියනවා. Serialized method into a format suitable for network transmission. On the receiving side, the object and parameters are deserialized unmarshaled. So deserialize කරන නැත්නම් serialize කරප එක reconstruct the original object. So marshal කරලා object එක send කරන්න බෑ. So unmarshal කරලා deserialize කරලා original object එක ලබා ගන්න. Method invocation and response. The client invokes a method on the remote interface and the client stub forwards the method call to the server. The server skeleton receives the method invocation. Execute method on the server side object and returns the result back to the client. RMI provides a convenient way to develop distributed application in Java, allowing developers to build distributed system without worrying about low-level network communication. It promotes illusion of local method invocation, making remote interaction transparent to the programmer. RMI is commonly used in Java, Enterprise Edition, Java EE, application and other distributed system where remote communication is required. So RMI ගැන මේකේ ප්‍රශ්න ටිකක් තිබුණා. ඒ හින්දා මම ඒක පොඩි බ්‍රීෆින් එකක් දැම්මා. ඒක තව පොඩ්ඩක් කතා කරමු. RMI වල ඊළඟට ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා පස්වෙනි එක. Which of the following are accurate regarding remote method invocation? පළවෙනි එක දැන් answer A. Yes, both stub and skeleton can reside in the same JVM. And the BRMI can only pass primitive data types as a parameters and accept such types as a return values. RMI make it simpler to write remote Java servers and Java clients that communicate with such servers. The client helpers in JVM is called the skeleton, the server helper in the JVM called the stub. Uh, and accurate regarding statement, both the stub and skeleton can reside uh, reside in the same JVM. ඒක වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Both the stub and skeleton can reside in the same JVM එකක. Stub එකයි skeleton එකයි තියෙන පුළුවන්. Then second answer RMI can only pass primitive data type as parameters and accept such as return values. එක එහෙම කියන්න බෑ. Primitive data types විතරක් නෙමෙයි අපිට reference data type උනත් තියවන්න පුළුවන්. Then තුන RMI make it simpler to write remote Java server and Java client that communicate with such servers. RMI support කරන servers තුල ඉඳන් අපිට මේක access කරන්න පුළුවන්. use කරන්න පුළුවන්. C is correct answer. The client helper is called skeleton. Then එක දෙක right. හතර is present. Yes. Remote method is invocation එකේ මෙතනදී මම පොඩ්ඩක් පැහැදිලි කරන්න ඇතුව remote method invocation architecture consists of several layers that work together to enable communication and method invocation between distributed Java objects. The layers associated with the RMI architecture as follows. Stub and skeleton layer. This layer provides the necessary infrastructure to handle remote method invocation. මේ layer එක තමයි අපිට infrastructure එක provide කරන්නේ remote method invocation නැත්නම් ටික handle කරන්න. On the client side, the stub acts as a proxy for the remote object. Client side stub එක proxy එකක් විදියට remote object එක තියෙනවා intercepting method calls and forwarding them to the server. On the server side, the skeleton receives the method invocation from the client stub and invokes the corresponding method on the server object. Remote reference layer. This layer is responsible for managing and references to remote objects. It provides mechanism for obtaining remote references, binding and unbinding object in RMI registry, and resolving remote object reference. Then a transport layer. The transport layer has the actual transmission of data between the client and server. It provides the necessary protocol and mechanism for sending methods, invocation, and receiving results over the network. The transport layer can use different network protocols such as TCP, IP, or TTP to establish the communication channel. Next layer is remote reference layer. On the server side, there's another instance of the remote reference layer that has incoming method invocation. It revolves and the incoming request route them to the appropriate remote object, and manage the life cycle of the server. Next one is object serialization layer. The object serialization layer is responsible for converting Java objects and their parameters into a format suitable for a network transition. It serializes the object into a byte stream before sending them over the network and deserialize them on the receiving side to reconstruct the original object. What we call is marshalling and unmarshalling. These layers work together to provide the necessary infrastructure for remote method invocation in RMI. The stub and skeleton layers handle the remote method invocation flow. The remote reference layer manages object references. The transport layer handles network communication, and the object serialization layer handles object marshalling and marshalling. Together, these layers enable transparent communication and method invocation between distributed Java objects in RMI system. This is all about the RMI introduction and just a brief here. Remote method invocation architecture ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් කතා කරොත් distributed objects. කොහොමද මේ distributed objects and uh, yes, eh, yes, distributed objects. RMI treats remote object as if they were local objects, providing transparent and object-oriented approach to distributed computing. Client interact with the remote object using the same method invocation syntax as they would with the local object. This principle abstracts the complexities of network communication and allows developers to focus on the business logic of the application. Stub and skeleton RMI employs a stub and skeleton mechanism to handle the communication between client and the server objects. The stub on the client side acts as a proxy for the remote object intercepting methods. Yes, we discussed this thing in a previous topic. Then the skeleton on the server side receives the method invocation from the client stub and invokes the corresponding method on the server object. This mechanism hides the details of network communication and makes remote invocation appears as local method calls. Then transparency RMI. Transparency means RMI aims to provide transparency to the developers, hiding the complexities of remote communication and making distributed method invocation appears no different from local invocation. RMI achieves transparency by abstracting network communication, serialization, deserialization of objects, and the location of remote objects. This transparency allows developers to build a distributed application without needing to explicitly deal with low-level networking calls. Networking calls නැත්නම් අපි network ගැන worry වෙන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ මේ remote method එකට තියෙන මේ මේකේ parameters ටික implementation එකේදී තමයි. Then object serialization RMI employs object serialization to enable the transition of object across the network. Object and their parameters are serialized, converted into a byte stream. Byte stream converted into byte stream called serialize method. නැත්නම් serialize කරනවා කියන්නේ අපි මේ ටික byte stream එකකට convert කරනවා. Before being sent over the network and deserialized on the receiving side to the reconstruct the original object. එතකොට මේ serialize byte stream එක serialize byte stream එක ආවට පස්සේ යාට ආයෙක deserialize කරන්න ඕන. reconstruct the original object. ආයෙමත් අපි use කරන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට object එක ගන්න නම්. This enables the remote object to be passed as a parameter, written as a result, or stored in the RMI registry. විදිහට අපිට ඒක ගන්න. RMI registry. RMI uses a registry service called RMI register to provide centralized lookup mechanism for remote object. Client can be bind means register a remote object in the registry with a unique name. And other clients can then look up and obtain a reference to the remote object using the same. The registry acts as a directory service for locating remote objects in a distributed RMI system. RMI registry එකේ අපේ services ඔක්කොම ටික list වෙලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒක තමයි අපි RMI registry එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ. ඕකේ. RMI architecture එකේ ගැන කතා කරොත් ඔය ටික තමයි brief කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. අපි ඊළඟ ප්‍රශ්නට යමු. අපිට fourth question එක ගන්න තියෙන්නේ. then අපි fifth එකේ answer එක අපි කිව්වේ A and A and C. Okay. Which of the following statements are accurate regarding enterprise Java beans? Enterprise Java bean කියන එක ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් අපි කතා කරොත් අත්ම පොඩ්ඩක් brief කරන්න හිතුවා enterprise Java beans. Enterprise Java Bean is a server-side component model for developing scalable and distributed enterprise application in Java. It's a part of a Java platform. Enterprise Edition and Java E specification and provides a framework for building robust, transactional, and reusable business components. EJBs, the enterprise Java Beans, are designed to simplify the development of enterprise application by providing a set of services and features that address common concerns in distributed systems. These include transaction management, security, concurrency control, and remote access to the components. There are three types of EJBs: session bean, and entity bean, and message driven bean. Then session beans represent the business logic components and encapsulate specific functionality or service in the application. They are used to implement the business logic and the workflow of an application. Session bean can be stateless or stateful. Okay? Session bean can be stateless or stateful, depending on whether they maintain conversational state between client invocation. Entity bean deprecated in EJB 3.0. 3.0 වල මේ entity bean එක deprecated නැත්නම් bean එකක් විදිහට කියන්නේ. Entity bean provide an object relational mapping ORM. Object relational mapping approach for persisting and manipulating data in database. They represent persistent data objects and are typically used to model data entities and their relationship. In EJB 3.0 and the latest version, the Java Persistence API JPA is the recommended approach for data persistence. Message-driven bean. Message-driven being are used for asynchronous event-driven processing. They consume message from messaging system and perform the necessary action in response to the message. Message-driven beans are commonly used in messaging and integration scenarios where application need process messages asynchronously. Key features and benefits of EJB include the transaction management. The EJB provides built-in transaction management, allowing companies to participate in the distributed transactions across multiple resources. මේ transaction management කියන එක ගොඩක්ම හොඳ feature එකක් EJB වල තියෙන. Security පැත්තෙන් ගත්තාම EJB offers the declarative security mechanism to control access to component and ensure the integrity and confidentiality of data. Data confidentiality එක safe කරනවා, ඒකේ integrity එක ensure කරනවා EJB security. Scalability and concurrency. EJB containers handle the lifecycle and pooling of component instances, enabling efficient utilization of system resources and support for concurrent access. එක වෙලාවෙ මේ bean එකක් මේ class එකක් අපි access කරනකොට ඒකට adhere වෙන්න ඒක handle කරන්න මේක life cycle pooling and component instances and concurrency මේ enterprise EJB handle කරනවා. Remote access. EJB components can be accessed remotely by client across network boundaries, enabling distributed application architectures. Reusability and interoperability. EJB promotes component-based development and supports integration with other Java EE technologies such as Java Server Faces, JSF, or web interfaces, and Java Message Service JMS for messaging. Okay, and EJBs are deployed and managed within the EJB container. So to me, enterprise Java based container EJB container ඇතුලේ තමා මේක අපි deploy කරන්න terminate කරන්න, which provides the runtime environment and services required by the component. That container takes care of a component lifecycle management, resource pooling, security enforcement, and other infrastructure related tasks. The container handles all the things. Overall, EJB provides a powerful and standardized approach to build enterprise-grade Java applications. They facilitate the development of scalable, transactional, and distributed system by abstracting common concerns and providing component-based programming model. Okay, this is all about the brief. This is a brief of EJB. Then, okay. Right. අපි යමු question එකට. Which of the following statements accurate regarding Java Enterprise Bean? Bean are a snippet of program that can function as a single program on its own. Java Bean එකක් කියන්නේ එහෙම එකක් නෙමෙයි. They enable the developers to customize and configure reusable component and deployment without source code modification. Yes. මේක කරන්න පුළුවන් දෙයක් අපි briefing එකෙත් ඒක පැහැදිලි වුණා. Then they enable a program-centric view where the software developer can focus on core business logic rather than other underlying cross-cutting concerns. The EJB contain එක ඒ සේරම cross-cutting concerns නැත්නම් underlying functions security හැම පැත්තම එයා take care of take care කරනවා. Then they are not portable and need rebuilding for each new EJB server deployment. Method. They enable the assembly and reassembly of software component into various applications. Correct answer is B and C. Next question is 6. What is command line directive run the RMI registry in the Windows environment? Indicates command prompt. Run the RMI registry. Start RMI registry. Start RMI registry mean register name registry it mean E is the correct answer. 7th, what are the layers associated with the RMI architecture? RMI architecture layers. What are the layers associated with RMI? Data link layer, network layer, remote reference layer, skeleton and stub layer, transport layer. Data link layer and network layer කියලා එකක් මෙතනදී අදාළ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Remote reference layer තියෙනවා, skeleton and stub layer තියෙනවා, transport layer තියෙනවා. C, D, E correct answers. Okay. Which of the following statements are accurate regarding naming class bind and rebind methods? And A is an already bound exception can occur with the bind method and not the rebind method. And the මේ කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම explain actually an example එකක් විදිහට the bind method actually bind method throws an already bound exception if the name is already bound and bound to an object is registered. In contrast, the rebind method does not throw an already bound exception. Simply replace existing binding. The bind method B is then A is correct answer. Correct answer. Then the bind method is responsible for binding given name to remote server name. The bind method is responsible for binding given name to the remote variable. Yes. C is no. C is not also an answer. Yes. The rebind method is responsible for rebinding the given name to a new remote object. The rebind method is responsible for rebinding the given name to a remote method. Yes, it is a correct answer. Then the rebind method replaces an already existing binding for given name. These are the answers. 4.9. What are the fundamental principles of remote method invocation RMI architecture? Remote method invocation architecture. Uh, the Patakura remote method invocation architecture ගැන එක කතා කරා පොඩ්ඩ brief කරා. අත් එකයි බලමු මේකේ answers ටික. All communication happen. One second. Yes, all communication happens through the stub and skeleton layer. Then what are the yes, everything martial and has to be unmartial. Uh, the behavior and implementation of the behavior are separate concepts. Then the behavior and the implementation of the behavior are tightly coupled. Or then the behavior and implementation should run on the same virtual machine. See, sorry, C is the answer. The behavior and implementation of that behavior are separate concept. The 10th is which of the following statements about containers in an application server is not true? Application components can declaratively configure securely in XML, deployment descriptor, or code level annotation. Application components. Application a component declarative XML deployment descriptor web XML file එකේ අපි මේ ටික ලියන්න ඕන. එහෙම නැත්නම් code level එකේ අපි annotations use කරන්න ඕන. මේ උත්තරේ පිට ගන්න පුළුවන්. Web containers can deploy EJBs, JMS, and JPA components. It depends, but it's not the correct answer. See, the containers can only read XML deployment descriptor in deployments. Containers can only read XML. Code level annotation are not supported. This is a wrong answer. The EJB container must be executed separately. EJB container must be executed separately outside the application server as it's only support running web container inside. It's the wrong answer. There must only be one container in an application server. Multiple containers within a single application server are not allowed. It's also a false answer. 11th is which of the following are or is J to EE modules? Uh, which of the following are EJB Web Java J2EE modules Enterprise Edition එකේ තියෙන modules මොනවද කියලා අහන්නේ. EJB Web Applet and Resource Adapt. EJB තියෙනවා web තියෙනවා but applet නෑ. Resource adapter එක තියෙනවා. EJB web applets නෑ. Applet නැත. EJB web application client and applet. EJB web application client and Java servlet. access කරන්න පුළුවන් Java servlet but ඒකේ module එකක් කියලා කියන්න බෑ. ඊට කලින් අපි servlet implement කරලා තිබ්බ දෙයක්. then EJB web application web application client and resource adapter. මේ ටික EJB contain එකේ EJB modules විදිහට තියෙනවා. 12th which of the following are true about Java Bean? It extended Java IO serializable class. Or yes. serializable කියන class එකක් ඒක extend කරලා තියෙන Java Java Bean එක. Yes. කළ හැකි it implements Java IO serializable interface එකක් නැත. It provides a getter method for its properties. එක කරන්න පුළුවන්. It provides no argument constructor. No argument constructor එකක් දීලා තියෙනවා. Default constructor එකක්. It provides set a method for its properties. The correct answer. The directory structure of web application may not contain the directory structure of web application may not contain. මෙතනදී may not contain. ඒකට මේක නැති දෙයක් මේ යන්නේ. deployment script එක තියෙනවා. link libraries කියලා જાතියක් නැහැ. ඉන්ඩයික අපිට කරන්න පුළුවන් JSP pages තියෙනවා, tag libraries තියෙනවා, static content තියෙනවා. static content කියන්නේ images, context, typography ටික. 14th, which of the following statements are inaccurate regarding the deployment directory structure of Java EE application? Application context should have web INF immediately under it. Inaccurate regarding the වැරදි එක එහෙම කියන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට ඒක okay. Classes, directory and web INF are the same level. Classes, directory and web INF are the same level කියන එක අපිට එහෙම කියන්න බෑ. මේක false answer එකක්. Jar file should be intermediately inside the lib directory. අපි jar file එකක් library එකක් විදිහට lib folder එකට තමයි දාගන්නේ. Jar should have meta INF intermediately under it, or can be yes, okay. Package structure for classes must be intermediately inside classes. Okay, so I thought to make it correct answer is B. Then which of the following are associated with the web tier of classical web-based Java EE application. Data access object, lightweight direct access protocol, plain and old Java object, representational state, as a simple object access. As a web tier, classical web-based Java EE application architecture. You can the එකේ දාලා ඇති debriefing එක. Yes. Web tier of a classical web-based Java EE enterprise edition. Web tier of a classical web-based Java EE application is responsible for handling the presentation and logic and user interaction. It deals with the client-side components such as web browsers and manage the user interfaces and web-related functionality. The web tier typically includes the following components. Web tier එකේ තියෙන මෙන්න මේ ටික තියෙනවා. එතකොට servlets and Java classes that handle HTTP requests and generate responses. They receive HTTP requests from clients, usually web browsers, or get requests uh, usually through the web browser, and can perform various operations such as processing input data, interacting with business logic layer, and generating dynamic content to be sent back as HTTP response. Servlet එකක වෙනදී මේක එතකොට Java Server Pages, JSPs, is a technology that allows the embedding of Java code within the TML pages. JSP pages are compiled into servlets by the application server, enabling dynamic content generations and separation of presentation logic from business logic. So JSP can just like a HTML page, but ඒක ඇතුළේ අපිට JSP tags එකල Java syntax use කරන්න පුළුවන්. Java server faces JSF is a Java EE web framework that simplifies the development of user interfaces for web applications. It provides a component-based architecture, manage beans for handling user interactions, and a set of UI components for building web forms and views. Web services. The web tier can also include web services which allows interoperable communication between different applications over the internet. Web services can expose functionality as APIs that can be accessed remotely using standard web protocols like SOAP or REST. අපිට වෙබ් සර්විස් එකක් විදිහටත් වෙබ් ටයර් classical web based architecture එකේ අපිට use කරන්න පුළුවන්. CMS, CSS, JavaScript, the web tier works with HTML4 defined structure and contents of web page, CSS for styling and layout, JavaScript for client-side interactivity and dynamic behavior. Web containers, the web tier components are deployed and executed within a container provided by the Java application server. The web application, the web container manages the lifecycle of servlets and JSPs, handles HTTP requests and responses, manages session data, and provides other web-related services. These are this brief about the web tier of classical web-based Java Enterprise Edition. We go to question 15th, which of the following are associated with tier? Okay. Data access object වෙබ් ආකිටෙක්චර් එකේ එකක් නෙමෙයි. ලයිට් වෙයිට් ඩිරෙක්ට් ඇක්සස් ප්‍රොටෝකෝල් එහෙම එකක්. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක මෙතෙන්ට අදාළ එකක් නෙමෙයි. plain all Java objects and representational state transfer. Representational state transfer is another simple object access protocol. මේකත් අපිට use කරන්න පුළුවන්. but එතනදී ආන්සර් එකක් විදිහට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙලා නැහැ. ආන්සර් ෂීට් එකේ හැටියට. අපිට SOAP නැත්නම් simple object access protocol at use කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right, okay. Keep it and move into the next 16. Which of the following are not servers implementing the Java EE specification? Java EE specifications වලට serve කරන්නේ නැති which are the not servers Java EE specification. Java EE standards follow කරන්නේ නැති Java EE standard Java EE අපිට application එකක් run කරන්න බැරි servers මොනවද කියලා. Apache Tomcat Apache Tomcat බැරි නැහැ but answer sheet එකේ 16 වල answer එක Apache Tomcat server එක විදිහට දීලා තියෙනවා but can be only Glassfish server is an application server මේකේ අපිට use කරන්න පුළුවන් Java EE applications. Internet Information Service server make a bill කරලා තියෙන Microsoft IIS server එක නැත්නම් Internet Information Service server මේක අපිට provide කරන්නේ නැහැ Java EE specifications meet කරලා JBoss allow කරලා තියෙනවා and Wildfire server එක Java EE specifications meet කරලා තියෙනවා. 17. Which of the following statements are accurate regarding the EJB architecture? 17th. Yes. A mobile application can be a client. Accurate regarding, okay, a mobile application can be a client, a servlet can be a client, another enterprise being can be a client, and the enterprise being intercept client communication. Business logic lives in the enterprise Java being. Enterprise being intercept client communication එක තමයි enterprise being එකක් or intercept කරන්න. Move to next 18. Which of the following statements are accurate regarding the include method in servlet? Which of control remains with calling servlet? Forward include method එක ඇත්තටම servlet එක use කරන්නේ අපි මොකටද? එනක මේකේ තියෙන control remains within the calling servlet. Control remains with the calling servlet. Forward the request from servlet to another resource. The include method එක කරන්නේ ඒක නෙමෙයි. Forward request from yes forward request from uh, call request from servlet to another resource. The include method in servlet allows a servlet to include the content generated by another servlet or resource within its own response. The inclusion is done at the server side at the output of included resources is merged with the output of calling servlet. What okay it's a wrong answer. Control remains with calling servlet. Control remaining servlet. Transfer control to a calling servlet. Transfer control to the calling servlet. එහෙම කරන්නේ නෑ transfer කරන්නේ නෑ අතරමද include method එක transfer control from calling servlet to the included resource කියන එක and control returns back to the calling servlet. Control එක ආපහු එනවා කියන්නේ servlet after the included resource complete the experiment. Include කරාට පස්සේ resource එකේ ඒ ටික කරාට පස්සේ තමයි එයාට ආයේ එන්න පුළුවන්. Useful when loading contents of resources. Useful when loading contents of resources. Yes. Useful when loading static content from the calling servlet. Useful when loading static content from the calling servlet. Okay, then 19th, which of the following statements are accurate regarding the hypertext HTTP? The HTTP client will connect to the server and send the request and wait for response from the server. Now, HTTP method works much like the post method, but only submit the header information. Okay, HTTP is a stateless protocol. Yes, HTTP is a stateless protocol. An HTTP request consists of HTTP method. Consists of HTTP method, the URL and the form parameters. මේ වගේ ඇත්තටම වෙන්නේ HTTP methods කොට. The status code 3xx in the HTTP response represent a redirection. එහෙම කියලා කියන්න බෑ එහෙම එක. ප්‍රථම කියන්න බෑ. Okay. Head HTTP method එක ගත්තහම එක head HTTP method like post method එක කියන්නේ අපි මොන හරි submit කරනකොට header informations විතරයි. Header method HTTP head method එක HTTP අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් get method එකකට හා සමානයි. sorry post නෙමෙයි get method එකකට හා සමානයි. මේක use කරන්නේ ඇත්තටම අපේ informations ටික share කරගන්න නැත්නම් ඒ ටික retrieve කරගන්න actual content කියන්නේ ඔක්කොම contents එක ගන්නෙ නැතුව ඒකේ තියෙන විශේෂ availability එක freshness එක කියන්නේ ඒකේ අන්න ඒ වගේ brief information එකක් ගන්න විතරයි අපි head එක read කරන්නේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපිට full content එක download නොකර. හරි. 20th question, which life cycle events of WebSockets are responsible for notifying the connection to the to, to other end is established. Okay. Mm, WebSocket annotations ගැන පොඩ්ඩි briefing එකක් දෙමු. මේක brief කරන්නම්. එතකොට මේක ටිකක් ලේසි වෙයි. Okay. WebSocket annotation are used in Java to define WebSocket endpoints and handle various events and messages in a WebSocket application. The commonly used annotations in Java WebSocket APIs are server endpoint. This annotation is used to define a WebSocket endpoint. මේ ප්‍රශ්නෙට මේක දැම මේකටම නෙමෙයි මේක දැම ඇත්තටම WebSocket annotations වලදී right මම ඒක එතකොට continue කරන්න. Right. Which life cycle is WebSocket responsible for notifying the connection to other end is established? Right. Other end established වුණා නම් ඒක අපිට කියන්න තියෙන open event එකෙන්. Yes. Yes. Okay. What type of Java bean are instantiated once per application and exists for the life cycle of the application? What type of Java bean? මොන type එකේ Java bean එකක්ද the application එකේ life cycle එකේදී අපිට බලා ගන්න තියෙන්නේ. Right. Entity bean, error driven bean, message driven bean නෙමෙයි singleton session bean. singleton කියන්නේ එතකොටම දෙකපාරක් instantiate කරාට පස්සේ අපිට shared resource එකක් විදිහට නැත්නම් shared resource value එකක් විදිහට globally use කරන්න පුළුවන් class එකක් නැත්නම් bean එක. right. WebSockets වලට යමු. WebSockets ගත්තාම server endpoint and client endpoint කියලා මේ දෙකක් තියෙනවා. This annotation is used to define WebSocket endpoint on the server side. It is placed on a class that will act as a WebSocket endpoint, specifying URI path that with the WebSocket endpoint will be accessible. What a main point එක server endpoint එක කොතනද කියලා define කරන්න අපිට මේ annotation එක use කරන්න පුළුවන්. Client endpoint. This annotation is used to define WebSocket endpoint on the client side. On open, this annotation is used to mark method that should be invoked when a new WebSocket connection is established. It is typically placed on a method within the WebSocket endpoint class. The method annotated with onOpen will be called automatically when the connection is open. On close, this annotation is to mark method that should be invoked when the WebSocket connection is closed. On message, this annotation is used to mark method that should be invoked when the message is received over the WebSocket connection. Is typically placed on a method within the WebSocket endpoint class. The method annotated with on message will be called automatically when the message is received. On error, this annotation is used to mark method that should error occur during WebSocket communication. Yes, that's all. Those are the brief about WebSocket. Uh, WebSocket annotation. What are the WebSocket annotation? Used to annotate the function to call when establishing new connection. Right. The new connection එකක් විදිහට කියන්න පුළුවන් මොකේ කොයි වෙලාවෙද. On open, this annotation is used to mark a method that should be invoked when a new WebSocket connection is established. Connection එක establish වුණා. It's typically placed on a method with WebSocket endpoint class. The method annotated with on open will call automatically when the connection is open. Connection is open, connection is established means on open is the correct answer. What are the states of stateful session being? Which is which are available in the stateless session being? Stateful session being available in the stateless session being. Right. Product does not exist. Does not exist mean does not exist mean session being has not been created or has been removed. Kinekai does not exist. Water destroy, open, and ready. The water passive should be the answer. Answer sheet ticket in D. See D. I got okay. Right. Ready when a session bean is ready to process client request. එතකොට තමයි ready statement එක. stateful stateful session bean which are available in the stateless session bean does not exist කියන එකත් අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් මෙතන. ඒක ආන්සර් එකක් හැටියට මාක් කරලා නැහැ ෂීට් එකේ. හින්දා අපි ඒක ඉග්නෝර් කරමු. හැබැයි මේකත් කියන්න පුළුවන් මොකද ඒක රිටර්න් කරන්නේ නැත්තම් හෝ රිමූව් කරලා නම් action B ඉන්නේ. What are the annotation used in stateful session being to invoke just after activating it? Annotations නැත්තහම the annotations අපි use කරනවා just after activating කියපුවම ගත්තාම ඇත්තටම ඒක post active just after activating means a post active answer is post active but post passive කියන්නේ annotation එක stateful session being life cycle එකේ තියෙන okay. Yes. The correct answer is D, post active. What are the general purpose method contained in the Java servlet? What are the general purpose methods? General purpose methods කියන ඇත්තටම ඔකට අපිට ගන්න වෙන්නේ ඒකේ ලොකු general purpose method එකක් විදිහට get servlet info. servlet එකේ විස්තර ටිකක් තියෙන්නේ. And get servlet config. servlet එකේ configurations මේ දෙක as the answer ඔය විදිහට මා කරලා තියෙනවා. Okay. ඔය ටික තමයි MCQs ටික. right ලොකු දෙයක් නෑ. ඉතින් right. අපි ඊළඟට බලමු. right. මට first paper එක නැත්නම් MCQ එක කතා කරේ.